What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie livestream. My name's Luis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat to say hello and get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. Now, as tradition goes around here, the first thing that we do is always go ahead into the chat to see exactly who are the first members of the Camera Junkie crew to be in the house. All right. And now we are here. Oop. And right off the bat, we have Mr. Paul Duncan, Mr. Moderator, saying hello to the fam. We also have Jim Monday here saying as well, saying, hey, another Saturday with the fam. Hi, all. Hi, Jim. Thank you for taking the time as always. And as of right now, that looks like all the Camera Junkie members who have actually chatted. There's quite a few others who are just lurking at the moment. But if you're a lurker, break that habit and say what's up in the chat. Oh, we also got Parker in here. How you doing, brother? Thank you for taking the time. All right. And today we're going to be talking about Ecamms. So if you're here, you also see the channel name, Mr. Camera Junkie. I am a junkie of cameras, and I heard something like if you like something, surround yourself with it. And I've been fortunate enough to surround myself with cameras of a variety different brands, makes, and models. So I was just doing like a quick glance around my studio here, and I was able to see that I have just surrounding me over 20 cameras at my disposal. So today I'm going to give a bit of a demonstration of what is possible with this amazing program called Ecam. And if you can tell, cam is in the name, right? And right there, I was hooked, obviously. And with Ecam, it is just such an amazing platform. I use it all the time. So now, today, if you guys, for the Camera Junkie crew, if you guys have any questions about something that I do or how I do it, today we're gonna like hash it out and we're gonna figure out, or to demonstrate exactly what it is that I do, because today I'm having a bit of fun. We also have Ernesto saying happy Saturday. Welcome, welcome. And Paul saying hi to everybody. The best moderator on the platform, Mr. Moderator, right there. All right. So now, with that being said, let me get into demo mode. And now you guys are seeing what I see. You're seeing more or less, but there could be a whole lot here that could confuse you. How you doing, Sly? I see you down there. See? Saying, hey, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. We are. And today I'm demoing Ecam for people just like you who are constantly using it and might have a question. So if you have any questions whatsoever, you or anyone here wants me to dive into what we're seeing or what we're doing here, please be sure to put a Q colon in front of any question. That way I don't miss it. I'll have the ability with Ecam to search for that in particular so that we can make sure that I've answered all the questions. Now, what we're looking at here is my setup, and off to the right here we have the camera switcher window. Now this is what I'm hovering over here. My OCD's got like everything, sectioned, and a place for everything and everything in its place. So I have it set up here where it gives me access to all the cameras. So what I can do to simplify this and almost bring it down to basics is that I'm just going to create a brand new scene. Okay, so going from the intro screen, right? Okay, I just switched it because I remembered that on the intro you can't hear me, right? But from this scene, let's just create a new scene, and I'm just going to hit the plus button. See if I can highlight this. and I just created a new scene. Now the new scene is basically going to give you the first camera or your camera A feed and throw it right into the chat, so to speak. Not to the chat. Listen to me. I was going to thank Paul for throwing that link in the chat. I appreciate it. But I just created the first scene, and this is basically as blank as it gets. It's going to pick up your first camera source, and this could be all that you need. So, with that, I'm going to start closing off a lot of these other windows to kind of simplify the process and just go through it. So now we just basically have two scenes or two windows open, which is me hovering here in the center, which is what hypothetically everyone is watching live if I weren't in live demo mode, but I'm showing you the BTS. And then we have our scenes window. Oh, that wasn't what I was trying to do. Okay, the scenes window, and I just created a new scene. Well, I'm gonna drag it all the way to the top, right? And hypothetically, like with our mind's eye, the rest of the scenes underneath it, let's just forget about those right now. We just have our one scene that's called new scene, and it automatically picks up the first camera. So now if I were to hover over the scene, it will give me the ability, as you can see, to click on this window that lives inside of your window in Ecam, right? So the live feed, if I'm just going to shut off demo mode to demonstrate, right? With live demo mode, you're only seeing my shot in frame, right? You're seeing the microphone, and that's it, as bare bones as it goes. But turning on live demo mode, you'll be able to see that as the controller, you have the ability to see all of these extra windows living inside of your Ecam window. And you know what? Let's embiggen this, right? So this is the camera switcher a window that was open prior, but now I have closed. And now this has the special ability of being able to just add another camera or switch to another camera as easy as possible. So this is just the basics once again. And if I wanted to switch to my secondary shot right over here, it's my B cam. All I have to do is click on it, and now that's going to take over the entirety of the shot. So now we're utilizing this camera. And like I said, if this was behind the scenes, right, if this was if I wasn't in the live demo mode, then you wouldn't see this window. But this is how easy it is for you to switch as a producer using this program. So now if I want to go to my C shot, which is my iPhone XR, is it? Yep, but it's my BTS camera, right? Is one that I have hanging over here. Once again, it's as simple as clicking to it, and it automatically switches because Ecam is a switcher. So there was a lot of people that I was able to speak to at the last event that I went to, which was the podcast summit in Atlanta just earlier this month. And there was a lot of people who have purchased and been using the A10 Mini and the A10 Mini Pro ISOs, in all the variations of that device. And what the A10 Mini is able to do is to take a variety of different camera feeds, right? And depending on which camera you want to demonstrate, just like I was showing you, as simple as clicking a button, right, will give you that next camera feed or the next camera output. The difference is that you only have the option to choose one at a time, almost like what I was just demonstrating. So right here, if I want to switch over to my overhead camera, right, I click on that, and now we're seeing my overhead cam. And then if I want to show my ZV, no, ZV, listen to me. My FX30, which I have hanging here as well. And if I go to my behind the scenes camera, I have it right here next to my main camera. So clicking back onto it, right, it gives you this shot. So now I'm utilizing this camera, and it's as easy as any camera that you have the ability to connect to your computer, and Ecamm can register it as a camera. Ecamm can then utilize it and pick it up as its source and utilize it. But this is the awesome part here, right? If you were to have a guest, right, and you're trying to do an interview, well, that interview guest is going to appear in the same exact window right here, giving you the ability to control them easily, and easily by just clicking the plus button. So as soon as you click the plus button, you see that it automatically adds the guest or a secondary camera and crops it correctly, making them both equal parts in the center so that you'd be able to utilize either camera, right? In this case. But if it was somebody that was interviewing, I would have my camera, and just by adding them here, it's as simple as that to utilize Ecam to hypothetically record a podcast. Wink, wink. And someone who might be recording a podcast is actually utilizing Ecam in this manner to make it as basic as possible. I know I have all the power in the world to make it super flashy, and I enjoy doing that. That's why I do it every Saturday on the live streams, connect a variety of different cameras and just go ham, right? But at the same time, you can utilize it very simply to just access or get access in this way. And this way, you'll still be able to produce very simply. So, this is the camera switcher, and just being able to add as many cameras as you like and having it crop itself automatically. So, right now, I'm going to add the B camera. So, let's say this was another guest, right? And then we can add a fourth guest, and then we're all there, all the shots running together simultaneously, all cropped out individually in force. And if you had a fifth, like an overhead camera, right, you'd also be able to add it, and it will, you know, do it accordingly. um, as simple as we put them on, that's how simple it is to take them off, where we could just eliminate the shots that we don't want to be using, and then just finalize with the one that we do want. Or you know what? Here's a better way of doing it, because you can remove them and add them with the plus and minus symbols, right? But let's say you have the entire crew set up and you just want to go back to one, is as simple as clicking the shot that you want. So I'll go back to my FX30, click that one, and then this becomes the main shot. So let me scooch out of live demo mode real quick and go back to the comments side to see if there's any questions. I think I see one here. Yep. Okay, so Sly says, would you go over on how to make the border again? I got my Ecam up and running. I'll try to follow along. Okay, perfect. So as you can see right now, we have some flash in the background, right? But I'm going to have to turn that off to demonstrate how to put it back on. Okay, so we're going to go back to the first scene, the new scene, right? And this is the new scene. Let me go ahead and switch to this camera. Okay, so now this is just basic scene, and I'm gonna go ahead once again and turn on the live demo mode so we can see what's going on in the background. We have our first scene and our only scene, hypothetically. And what we're going to do is that we're going to want to add a background. So first thing that I'm going to do is go to, oh, should be able to click over here, right? Yep, overlays, which is the second button within the window itself. The first one is the camera switcher window, which we're not going to deal with right now. So the second option, which is the overlays window, is the one that we need to get to. So there's a lot of comments here from previous live streams, and I'm just going to go ahead and just start deleting these just to make space, just to not confuse anyone. So let's go ahead and do that. Wow. It's been a while. I haven't done it, as you can tell. All right, so we're getting close to the bottom. All right, so we removed all the comments because they do come in as overlays. You'll figure that out. But in the overlays window, There's three sections. The top one, it says show in all scenes. The second one is show in current scene. And the last one is show in the background. Now, I'm going to turn this off. This what says blue and purple, right? Because that's actually the background that you would see in my other shots, like my A shot, right? That's there and it's on. Hold on. Oh, I'm confusing myself. You see? Thank you for doing this because I usually see it there. So everything I said was correct, but let's go back to that new scene, right? Where we basically don't have nothing. What we're going to have to do first to change the background and to actually either put a photo back there or even like I just demonstrated a video file, you would actually have to go into the sources. So within the menu on the top, you would actually go from source, right? And blank. Blank is what you would normally see, right? Excuse me. No, blank is what you're going to want to start off with. And I know you can't see me, so let me see how I can do this. Well, I know you can hear me, but let's go back to the camera. Okay, just so that you can see what I'm about to explain. So as soon as I change my source, that's what's going to be provided. So going back to opening up Ecamm for the first time, it's going to automatically pull up your camera source as the main source and allow you to broadcast that, like I said, even if it's your webcam. Right now that we've connected a variety of different cameras, we have a plethora of different cameras to choose from. Now I'm using my A7R2, which is what we have in front of me right now, and that is the camera source that we have selected. But what we're going to do is we're going to change the source to blank, and this will allow you to grab any other file. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me get a file ready. So let me go back to it, it's a demo. Okay, so let me go ahead and pick a file. Let me see if I have something in my downloads folder that I can use. Okay, I have some photos. Let me see if I can use that. Thing. Okay, this will work. This is a photo that, well, good. So I really need to clean my computer. This is from the creator camp video, but it's a still picture. So let me go ahead and okay, let me do this. I'm dropping it onto my desktop. Oh, it's sat over here somewhere because I have an extended desktop. So let me go ahead and find it now. Okay, I found the image. Perfect. Okay. So just to show you all, bring it in there. So let's say this is the image that I want as my background. Well, we're very lucky that we're dealing with Apple computers, and the entire infrastructure of how these computers work is drag and drop. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to automatically throw, or better said, this is what I can't show you with my face on screen, but I'm going to explain it before I do it. I'm going to go into the source and change it to blank. And then I'm going to grab this file from my desktop and I'm going to literally throw it right on top of that blank square, which is Ecamm. And it's going to throw it into the overlays accordingly as the photo. And then that becomes the backdrop. Immediately, as soon as you have that backdrop, that is going to be what is showing as, like your live feed if you're doing it live. But I'm then going to quickly go And you know what? This is a good demonstration that I have. And I will open up this camera switcher window, right? And I'm going to, the same way that I grabbed the picture file and drag and drop it, I'm going to grab a camera and I'm going to drag and drop it on top of that, on top of the picture. What it's going to do is that then it's going to throw a camera overlay on top of the picture that we've selected to be in the background. And then my face will pop up again and I'll continue to demo from there. So let me go ahead and do that now. All right. So first step I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the source to blank. So now we have the blank as the source. I'm clicking and dragging the file, and you see the plus symbol there, and automatically now that becomes my background. Like I could grab and adjust it, right? And the way that I'm adjusting the size is by using my scroll wheel on my mouse. Oh, you guys can still see me on the upper right hand corner. That's cool. Okay. So the way that I was scrolling the size of the image, right, is by using my scroll wheel on the mouse. So I can make it small and big in it, right? But because I didn't want the back end of it, I wanted the Amesbury sign to come up, right? I'm able to focus it, highlight it, drag it to where I want it. And now that becomes the backdrop, right? As soon as I have that, it's going to put it, as you can see, in the category where it says show in current scene in the overlays. But we don't want it in the current scene. We want it in all the scenes so that if I wanted to create a new one, it will always be there to start off, right? And allowing me to either duplicate or do anything that I want with these files or with the scenes. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it to the bottom that says show in background. Now, as you can see, effectively within your shot, it didn't change. I just changed the location because now it's going to show in the background of all the scenes. It's just kind of like locked there. Now I can click the little eyeball and turn it on, or turn it off. And then once I click it again, it allows you to see it. So now with that being said, this becomes our image, right? And now, as you can see, I'm not like moving the file itself, I'm actually moving the window. And now that it's there, I can easily just grab one of my cameras, pop it in there, and it automatically comes in the shape that I had it last. So it was a square, the last thing that I came in, and now I have control over this camera using my scroll wheel. So you can see, right? If I scroll up, it goes bigger. If I scroll down, it gets smaller. And that's how simple it is to grab, adjust, and resize these images. So now that I have that there, or these sources, these camera sources, I have it set to custom. So it allows me to basically make a, a square box of my liking to fit the size how I prefer. So now that I have that there, right? Let's say I was doing an interview type of show that I wanted to bring somebody else on, right? I can just take up the entire screen, but if I wanted to bring somebody else on, then it's as simple as grabbing that camera source, right? When you have them there and doing the same thing. What you notice is that they came out the same exact size. So with using the lining tools of Ecamms, right? Actually, let's get my OCD going now. Right, you're able to align them and have them both together, and now you have two separate shots. And that's how simple it is to add 1, 2, 20, as many cameras as you can connect to Ecamm into a scene, and that becomes an official scene. So now if I want to create a new scene, right, like, okay, this is my interview, but I want to do my intro scene where it's just me as a talking head, you understand? So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to once again hit the plus window, and I'm going to be shown with the same exact um result that I did before, right? Where it's a new scene and the camera is taking over the entire shot. So what I'm going to do is change source to blank. And you can see that what's left in the background stays in the background. So now I've created a new scene where the source popped up. And you know what? And here's another thing. If you're going to be creating scenes, this is something that I probably haven't done and should do. So let's do it together, right? Command comma. I should be able to change that video right here. Okay, so in Ecamm preferences, it's defaulted to camera itself. So you can see that the camera is the main source or the default source when you create a new scene. What you can do is you could change it to blank. And now that it's blank, right? The next time that we create a new scene, it's going to automatically have the background in place because it's not going to the camera source. So let me go ahead and delete that. Back to the first one so that we don't get confused, right? Or to be clear, not. So right now we went into the settings and we changed our default source from camera to blank, which will always come out going to the default background that you put in the slot where it said show in all scenes. So from the show all scenes, now when we go to create a new scene by hitting this plus button, it's not selecting the camera as the main source automatically, and we're left with just the background, allowing us to easily grab another camera source, drop it in there, and here we can, like we could adjust it in custom. But if you want to have it exactly, like 16 by 9, 4 by 3, however your heart desire, you can click the little pencil icon and that will open up the menu. And this will allow you to adjust this from custom to your classic wide 16 by 9. And now this, once again, you can change the size with the scroll wheel to cover the entire screen, or then you can just click it down once or twice, and the more that you click it down and make it smaller, the more of the actual background you'll be showing. But then you're saying, you know what, this looks good, but I also want to change the corners themselves because they're very sharp. And I said, you know what, let's soften that a bit. We'll make this a bit smaller still, right? We'll center it, and then we'll hit the pencil again and we'll start playing with the other features, right? Like the border color. We don't need to get into that right now. First thing that we can do is border width and corner radius. Now, if you want to, change the shape of the windows themselves, like I just mentioned that the corners are too sharp, then at this moment, what I would do is just change the corner radius. And the more radius you give it, the more round the corners get. But if you notice that immediately you go from 0 to 1%, you are brought up with this little diagram off to its right. And what it is giving you power to which corners you want this to affect. So it allows you to even more stylize your windows to your heart's content. You have a variety of different shapes like squircle, right? Which is not a square, it's not a circle, but depending on the corner radius, as you can see, it gets in there. But if you wanted to create kind of like a comment, like the old comic bubble window, right? Then right here, well, not in the squircle, in the wide, right? I am able to turn off one of these corners and it brings them back to normal, or only select a few. So now, as you can see, this corner and that corner are pointed, and yet these are rounded. So that's all the power that you have right here, just with a simple control of the window. And let's just say we're going to leave those at 50% round, and we're going to have it affect, you know what, let's switch it up. we're gonna have it affect three of the corners, and we're gonna leave this one right here to the right. Better said right there. Nice and pointy. But now we want to also stylize the border, which we have the option to do so. We can increase the border width, and this is just 10%. As you can see, it's brought the camera down just a bit. And I already have a color set, which, like I said, it keeps memory of everything that you're doing. So it left it halfway transparent and white, which gives it just a bit of touch, but more with my other setup with the darker colors, it goes a bit better. So because in this scenario, the colors behind the camera are lighter, then I'm going to switch up one thing. And by clicking there, I am brought up with the color window, and I'm going from white or snow in this case to licorice, which is black. But as you can see, black is way too harsh, right? Like, I don't want a dark black border like that. To me, that doesn't look nice. But just underneath here, we have the opacity, which is how strong do you want that color black to come through. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring it down to like 40%, or actually remove like 40%, leave it at 60. So right there that it's at 60, now it's got a bit of a smoky color, which still allows the colors from behind come through, but just gives a bit of a transition between the background that's bright in this case towards the darker edge, and then the camera feed, which will allow you to do whatever you like. So that's just how simple it is. And now this becomes a new, oh, excuse me, a new scene that's all set and locked in. So now that we're done with these scenes, right? Let me go ahead and move it accordingly. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. We have the new scene that has the pop-up here, which is so we can rename it, and we'll make that one interview. Right? And then we're going to put that one underneath just by simply clicking and dragging it and putting it underneath, because it's a hierarchy, so everything works from top to bottom. And then the first new scene, now we're going to call that solo. So now when we click on that, we have our solo shot. And then when we click here, we have our interview shot. Now I'm going to get out of live demo mode real quick to once again show the differences, that this would be like the live demo, or this would be not the live demo. Look at me, I'm getting ahead of myself. This would be the interview scene, but then you also have the power to go to the solo scene, right? So this will be how you introduce yourself, and then simply by clicking the next scene, the background doesn't transition, but the scenes do. And then you can see like, hey, you know what, this looks totally different from the first scene that had the nice edges, right? So then we go into the interview side here, and we'll do the same by clicking the button. We'll adjust this to 10. We'll put this to 50, which are the same numbers. We'll take that one off, and then we'll change this to licorice and drop it to 60. And we know our numbers, so that's how simple it is. And you're like, you know what? Even though that was pretty cool and fast, I kind of don't want to repeat that again on this one. So you know what? Let's just X that camera out completely, right? It'll still live here. So you don't want to like just, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to remove it completely. I'm just going to remove camera E altogether, right? And to make it easier and faster, what I'm going to do is, well, you can't see it on the up screen, but right here on my Logitech keyboard, oh, can't show it, right? We're going to hit the option button. And when I hit the option button and I hold it down, you're going to see the little hand come over here. Oh, actually, you know what? Am I in live demo? I should be. Let me make sure. Hold on. Because I don't see it. No. Okay. Live demo. I'm thinking that I'm showing you behind the scenes. My bad. Okay. So now that I've created this window here, right? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to hit the Alt button on it, my little hand shows up, and I'm going to duplicate the image, and it stays in line, and now I have the same exact image, and it's a lot easier to recreate that. Hit this, maybe change the little corner to the other side, and change the camera source from A to E, which was that secondary shot over here on the FX30, and boom. And with Ecamm, that's how simple it is to go from an interview. Let me go ahead. That looks better, right? From the interview shot to the solo shot. And now, as you can see, everything's just staying like congruent, is cohesive, and you have the power to do all of this simply and easily with Ecamm. So you can take it that far, or as simple as just bringing the two up and having a conversation. But it's really up to you. What I've said to people is that Ecamm is as simple as you want it to be and as complex as you need it to be. It's really up to you. All right. So I know I just kind of got back into live demo, but let's go back to the comments window here. Okay, and I have that in the background. I'm gonna switch it back from Amesbury to my purple vibes. Actually, you know what? I should show you how I did that. That's how simple it was. So my purple vibes, I turned it on, right? With hitting the little eyeball. But the Amesbury picture or sign is still on top of it because of the hierarchy. So I turned that one off, and now we're seeing the background image. But because all my cameras live on top of this, because this is in that section of show in the background, that's like the base. This is what would be considered your desktop on a computer. We're back to my video, and if I were to turn that off, it goes to the blank, which was our original choice, if that makes sense, you know, our default choice right now. So okay, I went on a tangent there, but that's what this was for. So hopefully you were able to follow along, and if not, you can rewatch this video because it's going to be available. All right, so we have Yolanda came in. What's up? Thank you for taking the time. Nano is in the house. Been a while. Hello there, Luis. Welcome, welcome. Paul is already saying hi to Nano. He's saying back hi to Paul. Kevin's also in the house. What's up, brother? Thanks for making it. Kathy, how are you doing? Saying hi to all. Kevin said option drag is a game changer. Yeah, when I learned that on the Apple computers, it's like there's certain things that like long time Apple users have these shortcuts, and all of mine were learned on the Windows side. So I'm picking them up slowly but surely, but Apple really does make things a lot more user friendly. You know, excuse me. That's why they have the number one selling phone. It's not because the phone itself probably can't be beat in a bunch of categories when it comes to cameras and photos and all this stuff, but they have that user interface which is just that much better. It's just that whenever I click an app on my iPhone, it works. That's the selling point that people really do miss. It says now I am. Thank you. I know I wasn't in demo mode. I was like, oh, I'm talking all this. So let's see if Sly, that she said she was following along, was still able to follow along, even though that section I was not in the demo. I said, we have the power. Okay, look at that. Says, thank you so much. I got more border back. Okay, perfect. Jim says, I need to take a week off just to work on my Ecamm. I don't think so. I think once you learn the fundamentals, right? Like everything here, right, is going to work similar to like Adobe Photoshop, right? It's a hierarchy. So if you've ever worked on a Photoshop file or even a scrapbook, that's the perfect thing that I've mentioned before, but just a scrapbook, right? A scrapbook is going to give you, well, let me find. Oh, okay. That really wasn't what's supposed to happen. Okay. I was trying to turn off live demo. All right. What was I saying? Saying to take a week off. No, that it brought me back to Photoshop, right? Like if you've ever worked with Photoshop or have ever done a scrapbook, then you know that it works in layers, right? Like if a scrapbook, you open up the page and then you're going to start with the base, right? Like what the theme of that scrapbook page would be, right? So let's say you were doing a farm theme, right? Then at the base, you're gonna throw maybe some hay or some like pellets that you might feed some goats or something as the base, and then you're going to maybe print out, right, some of the photos that you had when you were on a farm, that you took while you were vacationing, right? And then you're going to place those memories on top of the hay and everything. So the hay in this case is the photo or the video that's just sitting in that background space in the overlays window, right? That's your base of the scrapbook. And then the photo is the camera file or the camera source that you're picking up, right? Camera A, B, or C in this case, and you're gonna throw that on top, right? And then if you want to add another layer, right? Like maybe there was a contest that you won at like the farm or a fair, right? That you were doing, then let's say you put that ribbon on top of that, and that would be something as simple as doing like a QR code for an Ecam overlay. Oh, like this, right? That now that sits even on top of the hay and the photo, and now this is the ribbon that's right on top. And that's a perfect segue, because if you haven't tried Ecamm yet, then I suggest you click this link right here. The link is also left in the chat by Mr. Moderator Paul, thank you. And that will get you to the page where you can download this amazing program. And if you use my link right now, I wanted to mention that they're doing their Ecam summer sale. So until the end of this month, so there's just about 3 or 4 more days left, including tonight, that you have accessibility to getting up to. Ooh, you know what? I forgot. So you know what? Instead of putting my foot in my mouth, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna find out. Let's click over here. 60? Or is it over? I thought it was to the end of the month. I could be incorrect. I don't see the banner on the top, and maybe Paul will correct me. Not maybe, Paul will correct me if I'm putting my foot in my mouth. So okay, so it's 30% off. He did correct it, but there we go. Let me turn this off so that you can read the comments. Where's my mouse? That's where I gotta be honest, that's where the Vision Pro wins like so much, where it's just like what I'm looking at. I'm like, if I'm looking at it, why can't I select it already? Anyway, um, that was the comment. Get 30% off for your first what? For your first month or for your first year. I, in this case, would recommend getting the yearly subscription, and I also recommend just going into the pro. After like 1 week of you using the basic or the standard plan, everything that you want to get out of this is in the pro. So you know what, let's go back to live demo to kind of close this out real quick. All right, and back in live demo, I'm gonna go ahead and start resizing my windows to the size that I had it in my OCD phase, because I have the option to open up a variety of different windows, right? So one of them is interview mode, right? And the other one is the Zoom integration. So opening up these windows, as you can see, my interview mode gives me direct access where I can send someone a link directly to me, and then they'll pop up here. They can connect with whichever like device that they want. So if they're on an iPhone, an iPad, on a computer, a nice setup like the one that I have, whatever it is, they'll be able to use this link and they'll show up right here, and then you'd be able to add them as a camera source like I showed you, a simple side by side, or create a scene. It's up to you, and you'll be able to have that interview and record everything through Ecamm. You don't even need to do it live. You can just record everything locally because it doesn't need to be broadcast or transmitted at that moment in time. And that's actually how I've been doing my recording of the podcast that's coming up, Cities Golf channels that I think you should go and watch. And for those of you who are new here, that's a segment from this live stream that has now spun off to be its own little, thing. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. And using Ecamm, I'm able to simply just send somebody the interview link, and once they connect, I'm recording, and it's like we're going, and I'm having, once again, like I said, so much fun doing it. Now Zoom integration here is basically the same exact thing, but with your Zoom account and your Zoom subscription, you have the ability to create all of the Zoom meetings directly through Ecamm. So instead of opening up Zoom and then actually having Ecamm, and with what we use all the time, which is called Ecamm's virtual camera, we would have to use that to actually get the power of Ecamm into the program of Zoom. Now, Zoom is part of Ecamm, and you have the ability to create your own meetings or join a meeting. And now you don't need to have Zoom open because the subscription is accessed through Ecamm directly. And with that, you're able to get an image like this, add overlays, right? Show, QR codes. What did I do with it? Right, this one, boom, right, show QR codes, and do all of this in a Zoom meeting, to do it like basically anywhere where you need to show up online. And that's the power of Ecamm, but that's also with the pro account. So that's why I highly recommend that if you're going to take advantage of the summer sale, do so for the year, because it's worth the investment. I use this program every single day for so many different things, and like I said, including my up and coming podcast, Cities Golf. Now, leaving live demo mode, right, only leaves me to do one thing, which let's go ahead and then we're gonna and introduce that exact segment of the show, Cities God, channels that I think you should go and watch. And this week, let me pull it up. We are highlighting Mr. Terry Warfield. Now, Terry Warfield, honorary member of the Camera Junkie crew, also a Sony shooter, and if you've seen one of his latest videos, this one right here, where he's actually dabbling into acting, but he's a content creator who's a Sony shooter as well, and he just creates a variety of different content. He's just like a lot of fun. Um, a lot of the content creators that I actually end up watching are some that I just feel like I could have a beer with. And Terry Warfield, tight shirt, Terry Warfield. uh, if you know, you know. He's this week's City's God, and let me be the first to introduce you to. Kevin said right there, tight shirt Terry. Right? If, like I said, if you know, you know, and like there's just a certain like level of realness that you're gonna get with Terry Warfield that he's not faking it, because it's impossible for him to do so. So if you haven't heard of him before, let me be the one to introduce you to Terry Warfield, this week's Cities Gaw, channels that I think you should go and watch. And that's how we do it. And now, once you have all of these scenes set up, right, you have graphics moving in and out, all this stuff. These all live on my Stream Deck, right? These are just now all buttons. So after you set up your scenes and you have them named and you have them like that, a simple Stream Deck like this will allow you to have these buttons at the ready, right? You can switch scenes going left to right, but I also have them where it's like, hey, you know what? I need my overhead shot. And we're right to my overhead shot so that I can show you, hey, this is my new LCD video remote, right? Because I had to get a new LCD. And you say, which LCD did you get, Lewis? Well, going to my behind the scenes, it's this one right here. This is my newest purchase, this $40 LCD, and it's doing okay, right? Because it's only there to serve as my teleprompter. The one that I had, my aperture actually went bad. I went to turn it on and it like lit up and then no image. So like the LCD just gave out. So instead of investing or trying to fix it, I just said, let's see what's on Amazon and get something here right away. So this ended up being like $37 with some discount or something. And it got here right away, but there was just one negative to this LCD, which ended up being a positive. Okay, so let me explain, and we'll finish it with this. The screen was actually too bright. And something that I had the ability to do with the aperture LCD was that I was able to bring the brightness to like 20 or 15%, right? And what that would do was it will allow me to see what was going on generally through the teleprompter, like the comments, tight shirt Terry, right? Let me bring that up, right? And because this was a lot brighter, when I put it against the teleprompter, it was actually casting a light, right? So whatever I had on there, or let's say I wanted to interview someone and I would put their face there, their face would be so bright that then it would cause like a ghosting effect on the actual glass of the teleprompter, and it would cause a loss of image and contrast right over my face, because that's exactly where it was being the brightest, and you can see it in the shot right away. So I was like, oh, this is not acceptable with it being so bright. So I've been scratching my head and trying to figure out what I was going to do, right? Because I didn't want to like spend, you know, a couple $100 on this monitor, and I was this close. And I really mean this close to just going ahead and buying the Elgato teleprompter, right? Just to get it over here and saying, you know what, let's go ahead and start dealing with that, even though it's a little bit bigger than what I want for my setup. But I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to bite the bullet. And then the stroke of genius hit me, which is filters. And I went into my, you know, into my drawer over here, and I started pulling out all the filters that I had, because I was looking for a particular one in a particular size, and I found it, and it's the CPL. So if you're not familiar with that, that is a circular polarized lens filter. So a CPL, circular polarized lens filter, allows you to mess with the wavelengths of light that actually hit the sensor. And it's something that I used a lot when I would take photography in my car, because these cameras are so great and they're autofocus that I would be in my vehicle driving, and when I would see something that I wanted to photograph, a lot of times I would have to like spray and pray, you know what I'm saying, just shoot in that direction and hope that one or two of the shots came out good because of, you know, framing or something that you could deal with. But if I was at a stoplight and I had the ability to actually like focus in on a shot, what would happen a lot of times is that the autofocus on the cameras would actually focus on a piece of bird poop on your windshield instead of what you were focusing on, what you were looking out at outside of the windshield. So to mitigate that problem, I would actually put a circular polarized lens filter on my cameras and adjust it so that it wouldn't even see the windshield. It wouldn't even give it the ability to focus on any piece of bird poop, right? So it will then allow me to just grab the camera and do that same motion, that spray and spray, so to speak, spray and pray, and just shoot a couple of shots. And that turned out to give me a lot more usable photos instead of, it focusing on the windshield, obviously not usable. So, with that bit of information, I went on the search for my CPL and I put one of the step up rings and I threw that in between this and I started rotating the CPL until it effectively removed that glare, which this is why I said ended up being a bit of a benefit, right? Because the one thing that I had to do was kind of increase my ISO because it inherently made everything darker, right? So I had to like pump up the ISOs to get the exposure levels correctly. But what actually ended up happening was that I was also able to pump up the brightness of the actual LCD. So even though it was too bright to begin with, I was also able to brighten it up even more and give me the ability to see these comments when they're coming through a lot easier. So, like I see Nano that just threw on here that says masterclass. I am able to read this comment directly through the teleprompter 100 times better because it's that much brighter. Before, you see me squint, and I'll be like, let me see exactly what's going on. It was because I had that LCD at 15% brightness, and I had to do that so that it wouldn't show up onto the screen or onto the image as like a ghost image, so to speak, or a lens flare. Like you might say, it was just like a ugly, nasty lens flare that would just like lose all contrast right over your face. So to mitigate that, I was able to put the CPL filter in between that and adjust it where it no longer sees my LCD, and now that inherently allowed me to increase the brightness on all these comments, and now it's not being registered by the camera, but at the same time I'm able to see them a lot better. See, that's awesome. Thank you. Kevin just says if you would have never shared this, you would have never guessed that anything changed. Your image looks great. Thank you, man. And that was the whole point, right? Because the CPLs do change the colors a bit, so I was able to just keep it within in house. But now I'm like so much happier. And then I also switched lenses. You know what? We're gonna do it together because I was doing all that, but the Quantaray lens is actually sitting here on the Canon because I was playing on it. So what you're reading up here, Quantaray 19 to 35 millimeter, that's this guy right here. Actually, you know what? Let's go to this shot. You'll be able to see it better. Cover my face. There we go. So that's my Quantaray 19 millimeter to 35. Right, as you can see, it's the same listing on the top, and that is incorrect because what I'm able to be using right now is actually my Sony. Which one is it? It's the 20 millimeter f2.8, the little pancake lens. All right, so let me change that. Oh, it's changing something else. Hold on. Let me go into the actual scenes. I'm gonna select this. We're gonna edit. You know what? Back to BTS, right? Behind the scenes. Let me go ahead and just redo that. We're gonna take Terry tight shirt off of here. Well, I want to change the text right up top. So when I was trying to click on it, and I click it, I'm getting the changing of the scenes, which is not what I wanted to do. That's an option within the window. As you can see, it's where it says A and the number on the top. But I digress. So what I went is directly to the visible comment, right? And hit the little cogwheel. Now I'm going to edit, and I'm going to edit what the text says here. And right here is where I'm going to change all of this. And it's not, I don't even have the Pro Mist on it anymore because the Pro Mist is actually on the FX30. right? I think. Actually, you know what? No, the Pro Mist is still on there. The one off of this camera. I'll explain. Okay, so anyways, let me just go ahead and change what we're going to change. I'm going to take this off, and now we're going to write Sony 20 millimeter f 2.8. Boop, boop, boop. Bam. With the Pro Mist. And we're going to hit save. And now that goes there. Let me try to move it. It's moving. It's moving slow. Is it shift? Oh, okay, shift moves it faster. There we go. There we go. Boom. That's fine there. And now that we put it in a place where we like it, I'm going to turn off the live demo. And you can see that now that's there corrected. Sony 20 millimeter. And now to give you another angle, the BTS. If I could explain, look at the size of the lens combo, right? I've brought this back dramatically because if I were to take this off here, you can see this is all lens. And I'll tell you the truth. Oh, I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna mess it up. Let me not. A lot of it is actually step up rings. Go ahead into that. So it was just a bunch of step up rings to actually get it up to size, and that also became kind of like the matte box. So it really was able to allow me to sync this camera a lot further back, and now I'm really enjoying it. I'm using the f2.8. As you can see, completely different camera, but that also was because I needed to increase the exposure, right, and bring it back over here to close it out. That I needed to bump up the exposure because I put another filter. So this lens, its maximum exposure is 3.5, and it was making it darker than what I liked, right? The other thing is that the CPL filter is giving me a bit of vignetting in the corners as well, where that means where it kind of darkens the corners, right, because of the circular lens of it. But I digress. It doesn't look bad. I was able to zoom in and just take that, like the vignetting away, like I would in Photoshop, and the rest is history. So I appreciate your words, saying that you wouldn't even have noticed if I wouldn't have mentioned anything. All right, cool. All right, but let's go back to the comments. We were talking about last where I left it was where Jim said that he needed to take a week off. We got into that. Paul mentioned awesome. He said just spend an hour a day if you can, and yeah, you'll get it. Scrapbook. Yep. Yes, if you haven't done so already and you've made it this far, then you're definitely part of the crew. So be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you're watching this on the replay, make sure to leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts on maybe something that you're having trouble with Ecam. I'm happy to help. Okay. Okay, so Paul also confirmed if you sign up before the 31st, you will automatically get the 30% discount. And it's a one-time only discount, but definitely worth it. Kevin says my Ecam renewal just hit the card. I mean, I used the summer sale when I signed up. That's so cool. And I'll tell you, it's one of the best times to get in on such an amazing program because basically what you pay for your monthly subscription is what you would pay for one of these like A10 minis that I had referred to before. And I could honestly tell you that this is so much, it's worth every penny because there's so much more that you can do with Ecamm that you could with the ATEMs. Thank you, Paul, for putting that link in there. Thank you for saying that that was a masterclass. I appreciate it. That pesky bird poop. Absolutely. That was a same comment. And it says, choo choo choo, get moving, little text box. Well, we also learned that if you're moving it with the arrow keys, right? And adjusting where something is so that you can get it precisely where you want it, like this text overhead, then you can do it with the arrows, but then if you hit shift in the arrows, it scoots it a little bit faster. So that helps out. But that's just another thing that I think is part more of um the Apple computer universe than Ecam, but because Ecam is an Apple only product, that's why it works so well together. But everyone, we did it. This was episode 191. Check that out. So if you're not familiar with the number, well, let me be the one to inform you that that means that we've been doing this every week consecutively without skipping a beat for 191 weeks. And that means that we're getting very close to number 200 and also a very important number 208, because 208 will actually mark the 4 years of Camera Junkie live streams without skipping a beat. Now, I'm also going to inform you because I just had an epiphany of this earlier today. Paul knows, Mary Lou knows. I'm going to be switching things up. So, for those of you who are Camera Junkie crew and want to see maybe one of these replays with its like text and the chat in its entirety, then that's going to be now a members only perk. But it's not going to be like really expensive. It's going to be just for that and classification here on YouTube. My main memberships that I'm very, very grateful for the people who support me directly is actually on my fourth wall page. And those are my OGs, right? Or my OJs, right? My original junkies. You know what I'm saying? So those are the people that like no matter what it is that they do, that they want to support me directly. So if that's something that you also would like to do, you could also find the links down in the description for my fourth wall site where you can find my merch, like this shirt right here where it says creator, and inside of the name creator or the word creator, you have the design that I've created for the Camera Junkie crew, right? And that's available there on my fourth wall site. And there's that's like my central hub over everything. But to compartmentalize what I'm doing here is just giving me another thing, because I've always wanted to keep the chat for the OJs, right? The original junkies. I like that. I think I'm gonna start using that. Let me know what you guys think, if you know, if that's something that you guys, you know, are willing to take on yourself. But if you're an OJ, right, original junkie, then I'm just gonna have this avenue for memberships there, which will obviously give you some emojis and specific icons that we're gonna be able to use in chat, right, for the Camera Junkie crew. And then on top of that, it's going to give you the direct access to the replays with all the text in its entirety. What I'm going to do is that those are going to be members only videos, and then I'm going to repurpose clips of it, or maybe replay like with the what's the countdown timer, you know, that I've always hesitant to like take off, because it's something that I use for me, right? To get everything. Like, you guys wouldn't know, but I'm mentioning it here. When I hit live, right? And to go live, those 2 minutes that it was playing, like I went into the bathroom and I had to like shave. You know, and I had to like clean myself up, and I was like there with the clippers, like doing it super fast, because it's something that I need, but I also know that hurts when it comes to the replay of the live stream. So, with that being said, to get the best of both worlds, I'm going to then remove the intros, which will then create a new video removing all of the comments, which is something that's near and dear to me as well. So to keep those will then become members only videos, and that's how I'm gonna do it moving forward. So if you're part of the Camera Junkie crew that just wants the replay of the entirety of the live streams, something that you might have missed, then that's gonna be for the members only here on YouTube. And then for the additional like members of my fourth wall site, the OJs, right? That crew, that they're gonna have access to that and much more. So that's the way that I'm gonna play it from here on out, and then allows me to repurpose these content from this live stream a lot easier, and that's what I'm gonna be doing to move forward. So yeah, you know what, I just read both of those. It says, you see, OJ makes me think orange juice. And then Paul said, wait. It goes, or white Bronco, right? Which, you see? So that might not be something that we use. I'll figure something out to see, but it had a nice ring to it, but of course it does, right? It's orange juice. Thank you to all of you who keep me, in check and don't let certain scroll ideas roll off too bad. So for the Camera Junkie crew, as always, thank you. You guys make this the best place that I want to be week in and week out, and you guys are what make it the place to be. So with that being said, everyone, I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces while we do it all over again next week, same time, same place. So take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. Talk to you. And then we go to the outro.